Please tell me if you hear me and see me in about 2 seconds. Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Lima Charlie. Nice, thank you. We'll be starting soon, and we're going to ask that all participants keep their microphones and videos off, please. So if you could just check that really quickly, the host can and will turn those off for you if you forget. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to tonight's New Mexico virtual congressional event. I'm Louise McKernan. I'm the Regional Director for Admissions for the United States Naval Academy, and I'll be your facilitator this evening. This is a great opportunity to learn about how to apply for a nomination to a service academy and to ask questions specifically to each of the 5 service academies. All of them are here tonight, and they'll be manning the chat. Tonight is very exciting. We're going to cover the New Mexico congressional nomination process. Ms. Kavanaugh from Senator Udall's office will be leading that discussion. So thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh. We will also have a presentation from the United States Naval Academy, and we'll answer any questions that you may have. To get a feel for who is in our audience tonight, if you wouldn't mind just typing in what city that you're typing from and where you're from out there in New Mexico. Anyone from Roswell or Las Cruces or Rio Rancho, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, Farmington, Edgewood. Wow, Rio Rancho, that's terrific. I'm so glad to see a good showing from all across the state. So you can chat us questions at any time during this webinar. Standing by to answer questions for this evening for the United States Naval Academy are Lieutenant Ricky Sanchez and Lieutenant Yechan Kim. They're both aviators. Presenting this evening will be Lieutenant Dan. He'll be presenting our admissions brief to you. Good to see you, Cam. We will also have some of our blue and gold officers online to answer questions as well. And I'll be there to answer questions as well too. I am a prior surface warfare officer in the United States Navy. We're all joined by admissions reps from the other service academies, West Point Air Force, Merchant Marines, and Coast Guard, along with the reps from the New Mexico congressional offices. You'll see them briefly introduce themselves in the chat. Feel free to private message them or just ask any question on the chat. We're all excited to answer them. After each part of our program tonight, the presenter will take some time to verbally answer questions for the benefit of everyone on the webinar. So for right now, we are going to turn it over to Ms. Michelle Kavanaugh with Senator Udall's office to explain to us about the New Mexico congressional nomination process. Michelle?
Great, thank you so much, Ms. McKernan. I apologize for the glare here in my glasses. My contacts decided to give out about 30 seconds ago. So here we are. My name is Michelle Kavanaugh, and I am part of the Academy nominations team for Senator Udall in Albuquerque. And on behalf of the New Mexico congressional delegation, thank you so much for joining us. Today will be an overview of the congressional nomination application process for New Mexicans interested in attending one of the 5 military service academies. They are the United States Military Academy in West Point, the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, and the United States Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point. We will also hear from the United States Coast Guard Academy in New London. They do not require a congressional nomination. For students who want to experience a military environment while getting a first-class education, the service academies are an outstanding opportunity with full 4-year scholarships. Graduates of all academies receive a Bachelor of Science degree and a commission as officer in their respective service branches. Now, the competition for an appointment is fierce. Tonight, we will show you some of the ways that you can stand out from the pack. High academic performance and standardized test scores, that's SAT or ACTs. Now, we know that testing has been postponed, and so we will address that a little bit later. Your involvement in athletics and extracurricular activities, your leadership experience and community involvement. And finally, in order for you to have an appointment, you have to receive a nomination. Today, we will be talking about the application process for a nomination from both of New Mexico's United States Senators and our 3 United States representatives. As was mentioned, if you have any questions as we go through this presentation, do not hesitate to ask them in the Zoom chat. My colleagues will do their best to answer them. There are also representatives from the academies monitoring the chat to address specific questions. We will also take any additional questions you may have at the end of the presentation, and it will also be available on Senator Udall's Academy nominations webpage. Next slide, please. There are multiple nominating sources available to New Mexicans under 2 categories: congressional and service-connected. Service-connected or presidential nominations are reserved for dependents of career military personnel. If you think you might be eligible for this, I encourage you to reach out to your admissions officers at the academy that you're interested in for more information. Most of you will be eligible to apply for a nomination from up to 4 congressional sources. And that's both of your United States Senators, your United States Representative, and from the Office of the Vice President. Those of you wanting to compete nationally for a nomination from the Vice President should talk to an admissions officer at the academy you are most interested in for more information. Next slide, please. Now, each applicant for a nomination must meet some minimum requirements as of July 1st of the year of their admission to an academy. So they need to be at least 17, but not older than 23. United States citizen, and have no legal obligation for a spouse or dependents. If you can say yes to all 3 of these, we invite you to formally apply for a nomination. Next slide, please. So first, the Senate process. Senators Udall and Heinrich have done their best to simplify the application process to be considered for a nomination. A formal packet consists of completing and submitting the following items: your online questionnaire and essay, your official high school transcripts, your official ACT or SAT scores, and 3 letters of recommendation. Now, the due date to send all of this information into your congressional offices will be October 9th. And that is not a postmarked by October 9th. That's what we need to have it in our office by October 9th. So we're going to go ahead and do a deep dive into each of these sections. Next slide, please. So first, you should go to both Senator Udall and Senator Heinrich's websites to set up an online profile. While the process and the materials requested are nearly identical, you will have to set up an online profile with both offices. We don't have access to their information and they don't have access to ours. So you will need to fill out each separately. Secondly, tell us about yourself. This is the time for you to brag about yourself. Include every student organization and club you've participated in, every sport and team you've been a part of, every award you've received on and off campus, and your paid or unpaid work experience. Now, let's say your mom sends out a holiday newsletter in December and she brags about you to the entire family. That's what we want to see. Leave no stone unturned. Make sure that you include everything because you never know what is going to catch the eye of our interview panel or of the academy. So third, this is where you can rank your preference of academy. For example, if you only want to attend the Air Force Academy or the Naval Academy, as an example, you should list that as number 1 and leave the remaining options blank. If you're open to attending any of the academies, you should rank your preferences numbers 1 through 4. But only include those numbers if you truly would consider attending one of those other academies and are starting the application process. And so lastly, we ask you to submit an essay. Why do you want to attend a United States Service Academy? Now, this essay question is the same for both Senate offices, and you can use the same essay for both offices. We encourage you to spend the time writing a quality response, use spell check, and have someone proofread it for you. Now, additionally, those of you applying with Senator Heinrich's office, that should be all of you applying to both offices, Senator Heinrich will also ask you to submit an additional essay describing an experience where you've demonstrated exceptional leadership. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Now, we know that the ACT and SAT tests can be intimidating to many and that not everybody takes tests well. So we encourage you to take the test of your choice or both as many times as possible to get your desired result. So like the Academy admissions offices, we super score your results submitted to our office. We take the highest score from each subject area to provide you with a higher composite score. So for example, if you took the ACT and received high scores in math and reading, but lower scores in science and English on your first attempt, and then receive higher scores in science and English and low scores in math and reading on your second attempt, we'll take the highest score from each of those subjects and provide you with a higher composite score. We know that test dates have been canceled through the summer and that ACT and SAT tests will be offered right before or after our October 9th deadline. If you are registered for one of those, please contact our office and let us know. We will put a placeholder in your file that'll allow us to move you forward in the process as long as your scores are into us before the interview date. No scores, no interviews. So if you call us on October 8th and say, hey, I just finished taking my SAT test. I don't have my official scores yet. Here's a screenshot of the scores that I received today. Send that in to us, send it by email, fax it, drop it off. But we do need something showing that you did take that test. If you call us on October 10th and say, I haven't taken it yet, I haven't done anything. Well, I'm sorry. You need to really make sure that you're communicating with us before October 9th deadline. Okay, slide 7, please. Okay, so our office places great emphasis on the letters of recommendation that we receive. These individuals know you best. They've seen your accomplishments and your setbacks, your ingenuity and your grit. Because the culture at each academy is very competitive and academically rigorous, we want to ensure that the students being considered are actually going to be able to compete at that level. We ask for 2 of your letters of recommendation to come from someone that knows you in an academic setting. That's a teacher, a professor, a counselor, or a principal. We particularly want to see letters from at least one person that knows you in a math or a science setting. The 3rd letter of recommendation may come from anyone who knows you well and can speak to your character, as long as there is no family relation. Sometimes students or their family think that requesting a letter from the mayor, a city councilor, or another elected official is going to carry more weight when we're looking at your letters of recommendation, but that's often not the case. If they don't know you well, it will do you less good than getting a letter from somebody who does know you well, who can provide us details about your character and your grit and your ingenuity. Titles are much less important. We really want somebody who knows you well. Now, once you've decided on who will write your letters, you will input their email address into your online profile on our websites, and a link will be generated for them to submit their letters directly to us. If you're asking for a letter of recommendation from a teacher or a counselor, especially in science or math, keep in mind that those folks are probably getting a lot of requests. So please make sure that you ask for those letters early. I would say the week prior to our deadline, we get an influx of letters, and we can imagine there are probably folks who are scrambling to write them for you, and they're not going to pay as great attention as if they had a little bit more time earlier in the year. So get those into them early. Now, a guide to what we're looking for from those writing your letters of recommendation can be found on Senator Udall's website and Academy nominations page. You can ask the 3 individuals to use the same letter for both Senate offices, which encourages them, again, to spend the time to write a strong letter. But please remind them to address the letters to the right office. Next slide, please. Okay. Once you set up your online profile, you'll have access to this online checklist that shows what each office has received and what materials may be outstanding. This tool is going to be your best friend as we approach that October 9th deadline, especially as it relates to any missing test scores, transcripts, or letters of recommendation. Again, your teachers and counselors are going to get bombarded with requests for students, so ask them early. Now, in the top right corner, you'll see a reminder of our deadline. Because of the competitive nature of the application process, again, this is a hard deadline. All materials must be in our office by this deadline. Again, with your test scores, ACT and SAT scores, as long as we have a placeholder in our system for you, we can move forward with that. Now, we do make it a habit to send emails ahead of time, 2 weeks ahead of our deadline, a month ahead of our deadline, with a list, your checklist, showing everything that we've received. Gives you a little reminder to get that letter in, get those test scores in. Now, do not use a school email address that you might not have access to after you graduate. That is our primary method of communicating with you, whether it's sending out that checklist or what have you. Make sure it's an email address and a phone number, in fact, that we will be able to reach you at after you graduate. Next slide, please. So as we mentioned, in addition to applying with both Senators Heinrich and Udall, you should also apply with your United States representative. If you do not know what congressional district you are in, you can call any of the 5 offices and we will confirm for you. Unlike Senate offices where you set up an online account, everything is done online. You're going to go to your representative's website, complete your application online as a Word or PDF document, print it out and mail it in to the office with the rest of their required items that are listed here. For those of you in the 1st district, which would be the Albuquerque area, your Congresswoman is Representative Holland. In addition to the general application form and essay, you'll send in 3 letters of recommendation, your official transcripts, and official ACT and SAT scores. You can use the same essay and letters of recommendation you submitted to the Senate offices in her application packet, but again, you should remind them to address the letters to the right office. Next slide. Now, for those of you in the 2nd district, primarily folks in southern New Mexico, but you should double check, your Congresswoman is Representative Torres Small. Similar to Representative Holland's process, you will complete your application as a Word or PDF document off of Representative Torres Small's website and email it into her office with your required items in one package. In addition to the general application form and essay, you'll send in your resume, 3 letters of recommendation, your official transcripts, and official ACT and SAT scores. You can use the same essay and letter of recommendation you submitted into the Senate offices in her application packet, But again, remind them to address the letters to the right office. Next slide, please. Okay, for those of you in the 3rd district, and that's primarily northern New Mexico and eastern New Mexico, but double check. Similar to Representative Torres Small's process, you will complete your application as a Word or PDF document off of Representative Lujan's website, print it out, mail it into his office with your required items in one package. In addition to the general application form and essay, you will include a counselor evaluation, 2 letters of recommendation, your official transcripts, and your official ACT and SAT scores. You can use the same essay and letters of recommendation you submitted into the Senate offices in his application packet. But again, you should remind them to address the letters to the right office. I've said that several times. I hope you can tell that this is an issue that has come up in the past. So we just want to make sure that we highlight that for you. Okay, next slide, please. So if you submit a complete packet by the October 9th deadline, you will be invited to interview with the Senate Academy Nomination Review Board on Saturday, November 7th in Albuquerque. Now, both Senators Udall and Heinrich conduct these interviews on the same day at the same location to minimize travel to Albuquerque from those coming from out of town. We could coordinate our scheduling to ensure you won't be booked for 2 interviews at the same time. So we will talk to each other and we'll say, oh, do you have candidate X at this time? Well, I'll schedule that candidate for 30 minutes later, an hour later. We'll do our best to try and keep them close together, especially for those of you out of town, so you're not having to fill large spaces of time in between each interview. But we will make sure that they do not overlap. Now, what are some things that you can do to prepare? Talk to your parents, teachers, coach, or employer about setting up a practice interview. Come dressed for the occasion. We recommend business attire. Those in JROTC are welcome to come dressed in their uniform. And we recommend arriving to the interview location at least 20 minutes early to give yourself some time to prepare and not feel rushed, and check in with both of our offices and figure out whether or not you're where you need to be. Next slide, please. Okay, so interviews typically last about 20 minutes. Each review board is made up of 3 individuals with diverse backgrounds in military service, community, and higher education. Many are graduates of the academies themselves. The review board helps to recommend to the senators those candidates they feel can handle the rigorous academics, military lifestyle, and ability to succeed. Panelists are not trying to trick or trip you up. Rather, they will have reviewed all the material that you have in your file, and the interviews will focus in on areas of your essay, academic history, extracurricular and leadership involvement, your character, determination, and commitment to serve. Next slide, please. So while receiving a nomination from your senators or your representative allows you to be considered by an academy, it does not guarantee you an appointment. As you're completing the nominations application process, you need to remember that you also need to apply with those academies that you're interested in attending. We have cases where someone will go through our entire nomination process and then start their academy application. While sometimes that works out, you're really doing yourself a disservice. Again, we like to see that you give yourselves plenty of time to gather all the material that you need and make sure that it's all the highest quality possible. Now, the academies will also communicate additional requirements to you as you move through the process, including a medical and a fitness assessment. Next slide, please. Okay, one of the biggest questions that we get every year is how many nominations can a member of Congress make? New Mexico's senators and representatives use what is called the competitive nominations process. For each opening that is available, they'll submit an unranked slate of up to 10 names for the Academy to consider. This does not mean only one will be accepted. However, it allows the other candidates to compete in other areas of admission. We put together our slate of 10 names, and we're saying to the academies, absolutely any of these 10 nominees would be a great addition to your academy. There is no number one. Everybody is ranked at the same level when we submit those nominations. Now, typically each member of Congress has one opening every year. However, occasionally we have 2 available openings, which would mean we get to submit 2 slates of up to 10 names. So we occasionally do have the opportunity to submit 20 nominations to an academy. Next slide, please. Because the process is so competitive for an appointment to serve, to attend a service academy, students are encouraged to consider applying with ROTC units at the collegiate level. In New Mexico, ROTC programs are available at New Mexico State University with Army and Air Force ROTC, and the University of New Mexico, Army, Air Force, and Naval ROTC. Students in ROTC programs will graduate with their degree and a commission in the armed services. However, their studies take place in a traditional collegiate environment rather than in a military one. Scholarships and financial support are available, and you'll hear more about those opportunities during the Academy's presentations. Next slide, please. Other options available to you in New Mexico include the New Mexico Military Institute in Roswell. Now, they offer a 2-year early commissioning program through Army ROTC, where you will take your courses at the New Mexico Military Institute Junior College before transferring to a 4-year institution to complete your undergraduate degree. Also, the Service Academy Prep program. Now, the sponsored prep, due to the extremely competitive process, you may receive a nomination, but not an appointment. Now, there are situations that arise when an academy recognizes strong qualities in you and they choose to offer you a scholarship through their foundation to allow you to focus on areas of improvement, academically or not. New Mexico Military Institute is recognized as one of several institutions that serve as a preparatory school for all of the other academies. Students who go through a year of the prep program and choose to reapply for a nomination the following year often find themselves to be stronger candidates for both nomination and appointment. So that would be sponsored prep when the academy contacts you and says, hey, we like you, you need a little more work in this area, we're gonna help you get that experience. The second option though is self-prep. Though not sponsored by an affiliate of the academies, you can choose to enroll yourself and participate in the same program and classes of the sponsored prep students. Scholarships and other financial assistance is available. Next slide, please. Okay, so our timeline this year, we opened up the application process on April 6th and it closes again on October 9th, which is a hard deadline. While it is over 5 months away, it will be here before you know it. The most important thing I can emphasize today, especially for those students who are looking to apply this cycle, is communication with our offices and with those writing your letters of recommendation and starting the process early. If you have any questions as to your application or about something else, give us a call or send us an email. The fall semester gets busy with school, athletics, and life in general. Talking early and often with your teachers is key to making sure you don't fall to the bottom of their to-do list. Don't leave this for the last few weeks before the deadline. Try and get those letters of recommendation and essays done before the end of the summer. Again, any questions at all, every office has a representative who is here to assist you. We want you to succeed. We want to send as many people as possible to the academies to be appointed. So call us. Our phone numbers are available on our websites. I highly encourage the applicant to call us rather than their parents. We know that this is a very, very busy time for you, but you know, it really it really shows us that you're committed and willing to put in that work to get that nomination. And so next slide, please. It's the end of the presentation. The names of the Academy nominations coordinators for each office and their websites are listed. A copy of this PowerPoint presentation, other frequently asked questions, and a letter you can give to those writing your letters of recommendation can be found on Senator Udall's website, along with those phone numbers. Or you can contact each representative of each office with their websites that are listed here. And if there are any questions, we can go ahead and take a few. Let's see here. I think we're seeing a lot of specific Academy questions, which is great. Now there's one question. Raymond asked if you need to take both the ACT and the SAT, and you do not. We do not hold it against you if you decide to take one versus the other. They are slightly different formats and slightly different grading scales that they use. And we recommend that you take both of them if you can, just to try and get your scores up as much as possible. But you do not have to. One or the other is also totally fine. Someone asked if there's a way to access the webinar from yesterday. I believe that somebody has answered that, but yes, again, the presentation will be available on our website, and I believe that we are recording these, and so the additional parts should be available at some point afterwards as well. Let's see, what will happen if you don't get a nomination? So again, we encourage you to apply with both senators and your congressman, one of the three that we named. There are also opportunities for nominations through ROTC. Again, the vice president offers a nomination as well. So there are lots of different options. And if you do not receive a nomination the first time that you apply, please apply with us again. As long as you meet that criteria that we listed in the beginning, you are free to apply as many times as you can, and as many times as it takes for you to increase your scores, increase your ability to interview well, or any of those areas that the academies are looking for. So please make sure that you are taking advantage of that. We definitely don't want you to feel like that was your one chance and it's gone, because that's not true. You will have multiple opportunities as long as you meet that criteria. So I am going to close it out there and hand it over to the United States Naval Academy and Ms. McKernan again. Thank you so much, and please ask any questions in the chat. Congressional representatives will be available throughout the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kavanaugh, for partnering with all the service academies tonight and presenting all of your good information about the New Mexico nominations process. We really appreciate everyone coordinating with us on this virtual platform and giving us the opportunity to engage with New Mexico students. So everybody, just remember that reps from the congressional offices are there on the chat, so you can continue to ask questions. And the Naval Academy will touch upon the nominations process as well momentarily. In the next portion of our webinar, we hope to answer some of your questions about the United States Naval Academy. We have a specific presentation about the Naval Academy, what makes it unique, what is the application process like, and what opportunities would be provided to you, and how to become competitive for an offer of appointment to the United States Naval Academy. So with that, I will let your New Mexico admissions counselor introduce himself now. Lieutenant Dan.
All right, good evening, fellow service members, congressional staffers, and hopeful midshipmen. My name is Lieutenant Cameron Dan, call sign Scoozy, and I feel obligated at the start of this to do a comms check. Can everyone hear me clearly? Anyone in the chat say if my mic is working? Excellent. I'm hearing some yeses. You'll excuse me, give me a minute to get my screen share up. Fantastic. Now just bear in mind, I cannot see the chat during this. So you'll have to ask questions to the other Academy reps, including the other Navy Academy reps. I will be answering questions on my own after. So before we get into it, I would like to reiterate, I know it's been stated before, but I'd like to reiterate for the Naval Academy that due to the effect of COVID-19 on standardized testing, we get probably our most frequently asked question right now is, what do I do if I want to apply? I haven't taken the SAT or the ACT yet. The answer is the same for us as it is for everyone else. We know they're canceled. We expect them to reopen right in the August-September timeframe. You can apply with your PA-SAT. If you don't even have that, reach out to admissions counselor. We will help you start your application. So bearing that in mind, let's move forward. So first question, where is the Naval Academy? The Academy is located in Annapolis, Maryland, about 25 miles equidistant from Baltimore and Washington, and we call our campus the Yard. It's a very vast, expansive place with world-class facilities all around. The biggest and most iconic building being Bancroft Hall, where all 4,000 midshipmen will live for all 4 years there. You can see a little bit of the services that are provided all within Bancroft Hall: barbershop, armory, a little store, your laundry, cobbler shop, post office, medical, dental. Basically everything you could want, you have in there. You could live on that campus for 4 years and never leave. I don't know why you would do that to yourself, but in theory you could. We also have a ton of athletic facilities, both on the Yard itself and across the Severn River at the Naval Base, Annapolis. We have 3 pools, 5 weight training facilities. These are open to all midshipmen to use, because you will be involved in athletics in some capacity at the Naval Academy. We'll get into that in a minute. So here we like to say it's not about the 4 years you spend at the Academy, it's about setting yourself well for the next 40. These are some of our favorite accolades that we have. One of my favorites is number 4, mid-career highest paid graduates. That's a very prestigious list, and number 1 on that list, just fun fact, is a small university in California that not a lot of people have heard of. So how is the Brigade of Midshipmen made up? We are required by law to pull from all 50 states, territories, and some foreign midshipmen from all walks of life, to include active duty sailors and Marines. Generally, we look for people who are leaders, scholars, and athletes. Not just one, we're looking for a full package. How does it break down right now? As of the most recent class, it's 72% male and 28% female, although that number has been trending towards 30% over the past couple of years. The education here is world-class. We have 25 available majors. Some of the newest ones we have include cyber operations. We are about to be complete with a whole cyber operations building called Hopper Hall. We're the only public university or public school in the country with a dedicated cyber operations building, and that is to serve that new cyber operations major. A lot of the professors teaching those classes will be former NSA security specialists. It's a really great opportunity. It wasn't there when I was there. Another new one we have, or relatively new, is nuclear engineering. That's on the engineering side of the house. But say you're not interested in engineering or math and science, that's fine. You can also major in humanities or social sciences. We have those over there on the right. However, bear in mind, if you do choose to major in a humanity, you have to minor in a language, and those are listed down there. The only 2 languages that we have available to major right now are Chinese and Arabic. So this is what the 4 years at the Academy looks like as far as your academic curriculum. You read across the top, you see 4C, 3C, 2C, 1C. Read that as your freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior years. Now you can see all kinds of classes, but I want to draw your attention to the math and the science specifically. You can see that this is the core curriculum. It doesn't matter what your major is. You will still take 3 semesters worth of calculus plus 1 more, either statistics or differential equations. You'll do a year of chemistry, a year of physics, in addition to everything else. And we have new courses. We have a core course in cyber. We have a core course in electrical engineering and weapons engineering. These are taken by even the English and history majors, which is why coming out of the Naval Academy, no matter what you major in, you will graduate with a Bachelor of Science. And just in case you're wondering, you may be wondering, look at all that white space there. Those are not free periods necessarily. Those are where your major classes start to come in. In the spring semester of your first year there, you'll declare a major and you'll start gradually transitioning to your major classes to the point where your senior year, you'll be taking at least half or more major courses. And one of the great benefits to going to the Naval Academy is the very small class size. It's a really, really small, great environment for learning. Average student to faculty ratio is 8:1, and there will never be more than 25 students in a classroom. That is nearly unheard of in public universities. And that close contact with the faculty is invaluable. I can speak from personal experience. I was a physics major myself. I really relished that time with the instructors to help me understand when I was having difficulty. And they will be more than happy to provide it for you. So I'll give everyone a minute to take this in. This is a typical day in the life, and it looks very daunting, especially when you're a young kid and you haven't really experienced anything like this before. 5:30 wake up for conditioning, 3 formations a day, 6 academic periods, athletic period, mandatory study period, lights out 11. Repeat. Now, if you're not intimidated by that and you say, I have great time management, I can get it all done, that's great. The effect of this is it will make you even better. You will become more organized, more efficient with your time. It really benefits you in the long term. As I said before, you will be an athlete in some capacity, and we'll get into the other athletics, but we're going to spend a moment talking about varsity sports. We have the 3rd highest number of varsity programs in the country, behind The Ohio State University and Stanford in California. I won't go over them all exhaustively, but I will say if you are interested in maybe becoming a recruited athlete, we can't directly address that in admissions. What we advise you do is go to navysports.com, find the sport you play, and feel free to reach out to the coaching staff and ask what they're looking for in a recruit. Club sports, it's like varsity. It's a little less competitive. I won't say a little less competitive, just a little smaller in scale. A lot of these teams still travel, they still compete, to include especially the men's and women's rugby teams. They travel all up and down the eastern seaboard, competing against other schools. I myself was on the rugby team for a couple of years and had a great time on it. So if you're maybe less athletically inclined, not a varsity or club athlete, you'll be participating in intramurals. So how that works is the brigade gets together and votes every semester on 5 of those sports that you see up there right now. Top 5 get picked, and the 30 companies in the brigade compete for what's called the Commandant's Cup. And they win at the end of the semester. They get a little party themselves. It's great. My favorite was always racquetball. Now, there are some what's called athletic exceptions. For example, if you're in the Drum and Bugle Corps, the Naval Academy Band, instead of going to your intramural practice, you will likely go to your band rehearsal. There are a number of ECAs that grant what's called that athletic exception. Some of them are there on the right. Speaking of extracurriculars, we've got a couple slides here focusing on ECAs. This should not be considered an exhaustive list. Basically, if you have an interest, whether it's culture, music, service, military, etc., there is probably a club for it already. And if there's not, it's very easy to start one at the academy. All you need is 2 midshipmen and a faculty member to sponsor you creating the club. Just as an example, you see up in there in the right, that is the Naval Academy Silent Drill Team. Now they are just an ECA. They are just an ECA, but they still travel, they still perform and compete at silent drill events all across the country. Had several friends on that team, and they said it was a great experience. Now, as a mid, about 1 in every 4 midshipmen will go abroad in an official capacity during their time at the Naval Academy, whether that's part of a semester study abroad program or otherwise. You do not have to be a language major to do this. There are shorter duration programs. Using myself as an example, I spent a week and a half in Israel as part of the Language, Cultural Expertise, and Regional Experience program. It was really, really cool. A fantastic week. I got to travel the whole country and learn a whole lot about a place I'd never been. there are too many specific opportunities to list here. That's run out of our international programs office, but you will likely have an opportunity to go abroad as a midshipman if you're looking for it. So the benefits to being a midshipman. Going to the academy is a full scholarship. You do not pay money to go. We cover tuition, room and board, medical, dental, everything you need to keep yourself healthy. In fact, you do get paid to go here. You can see there about $1,100 a month. However, when you arrive at the Naval Academy, you take what's called an Advance for Clothing Equipment, or ACE loan, and that pays for your uniform issue, computer issue, your books, and the stuff that you get issued over that 4 years, and that pay is deducted month by month to pay it back. But of course, as that loan gets paid back, your paycheck starts to get bigger and bigger. Now, at the Naval Academy, we are a year-long leadership development facility. So while your friends are off at regular school, going home for 3 months, you will be continuing to develop yourself. And we're hoping that's what you're looking for. That's not to say you won't get an opportunity to go home at all. Some are generally divided into 3 blocks of 4 weeks. Barring anything unusual, like you failed a class, have to take mandatory summer school, or you've chosen to take summer school, or you've taken an internship, you will have the opportunity to go home on summer vacation for one of those months. The other 2 months will be divided between a fleet cruise and a leadership development experience. It's quite a lot to go into. Generally, that fleet cruise is designed to get you exposure to the real Navy. The enlisted experience, meaning you will shadow an enlisted person aboard a real Navy ship for a month. You will go underway, you'll live with them and experience their life for a month. The junior summer, the career exposure, is a program we have called Professional Training for Midshipmen, or ProTraMid. That is going to be one of your biggest sources of community exposure, meaning you get to spend a week with the surface community, you get to spend a week with the submarine community, you get to spend a week in aviation, and then you get to spend a week with the Marine Corps. And we'll get into the differences between the communities in a minute. The other block can be made up, it's quite a bit more diverse than the fleet cruise. Your freshman summer is plebe summer. That is our basic training, lasts about 8 weeks. Nothing else goes on that first summer. It's just plebe summer. Then the following years, you may get into the sailing or yard patrol programs, where you take either one of those yard patrol craft you see down there in the corner, or one of our sailing vessels, sail up and down the East Coast, and practice your leadership and navigation. Other leadership details you can have include plebe summer on the other end, meaning you are now the trainers. You are creating the next generation of midshipmen, and that happens in your senior summer. So that's generally a breakdown of how you spend your summers at the academy. So at the end of all that, you graduate with a Bachelor of Science and be commissioned as an officer in the Navy or Marine Corps with a minimum 5-year service commitment. That number can be modified depending on your community selection. Just as an example, I'm a naval aviator. That means I'm obligated to 8 years after I receive my wings. And for NFOs, that number is 6. So that number can vary, but most generally it's 5 years. So we're gonna take a short minute to address a short overview of what the major warfare communities are and what they do. First one is surface warfare. It's everything you think about when you think of Navy. You think it's driving ships, sailing around, you are seeing the world, you're pulling into port everywhere. And the specifics of what you do on your job can vary vastly, depending on the position you're actually assigned. You can be the weapons officer aboard the ship, meaning you're responsible for everything involved with the guns. You can be a junior engineering officer. You can be a navigator. There's really too much to get into here, but there's a lot of variation in the specifics of your day-to-day, but you will be qualifying in ship driving no matter what. Submarine warfare, similar. There's also a lot of variance in the specifics of your job. Similarly, you'll be learning to drive a sub. The difference is, whereas in the surface community, you only do a short leadership training course, takes about a month, month and a half, and then you report to your first ship. It is almost certainly the fastest academy to operational transition. Submarines, the training pipeline is a bit more extensive. It takes usually 18 to 24 months, and it involves going to nuclear power school in South Carolina, and then going to what's called prototype, where you learn the basics of driving the submarine. Generally, that takes at least 18 months before you report to your first sub. Now onto my favorite, aviation. About a third of every graduating class goes into naval aviation between Navy and Marine Corps. Now that training is also quite a bit longer. It took me about 3 years. I won't go into the specifics, but you go down to start flight school in Pensacola, and you will, at the end of your first block of training, you will find out what community you're going into, whether it's the maritime community, you see it on the left, that's a P8, the fixed wing community where you're flying jets, or the helicopter community on the right. And following getting your wings, you report to your fleet replacement squadron to learn to fly your Navy-specific aircraft before reporting to your first actual squadron. So, special warfare, the SEALs and EOD. If you think you are the best, you can handle any challenge that is given to you. No one is going to tell you otherwise, no matter who that is. Look for these guys. They won't come looking for you. The selection process for SEALs and EOD is rigorous and quite intense. The good news about that is just an example, a lot of people are aware of the Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL, BUDS, taught down in Coronado, California. Very famous for being some of the most difficult military training in the world. The Academy selects have about a 90% completion rate or graduation rate going through BUDS, which is very, very high compared to the general dropout rate, which hovers around, I think, 60 to 70% don't make it. So just a quick difference between SEALs and EOD. The EOD is a little more specialized. They're Navy, they form both the Navy diving and salvage units, and they are the Navy's bomb squad. They perform render safe procedures on everything from conventional ordnance. They train how to disarm nuclear, biological, chemical weapons. They are really the ones to call. They're also the smallest unrestricted line community. There's only a few hundred officers in the Navy in EOD. SEALs is quite a bit bigger. And as a side note, all of these warfare communities are open to both men and women. As of yet, there have not been any women who've actually completed and qualified as SEALs, but the opportunity is open. Last one we got is our beloved Marine Corps. They also have their own selection process, which starts right around your junior year. You'll be assigned a Marine Corps mentor to help guide you through the process. And that sort of sets in stone if you want to be a Marine, the summer training coming into your senior year. It's a month-long training called Leatherneck, and it happens down in Quantico, Virginia, where they train actual Marine Corps officers at the basic school. And it's a month-long course designed to test and train you, see what your leadership ability under pressure is like. And at the end of that, the staff of Leatherneck will recommend you or not for selection into the Marine Corps. It's not as hard as, it's not as daunting as it seems. If you are really determined and you've got the grit, they can select you. It's pretty rare to actually not get recommended. So I'm going to give everyone a minute to have a look through this slide. This just breaks down, and this is a very typical year of how many we assign to each service community. Now you see, as I mentioned earlier, we break it down into several communities, but there's Navy pilot, Navy flight officer, and Marine Corps pilot. That combined together usually forms about a quarter to a third of the graduating class. So if you want to fly Navy, if you want to land on ships, you actually have a very good shot at doing it. You may be wondering over there on the right, what is restricted line, what is staff corps? Those most generally, and I'll get into a little bit specific in a minute, most generally restricted line is for some mids who experience maybe some medical problems or have an injury at the academy that medically disqualifies them from going unrestricted line. So they're assigned to one of these restricted lines to still serve, but just in a different community. There are some exceptions to that. Another one we get a ton of questions about is, how do I go med corps? How do I be a Navy doc? A quick breakdown of how that works. You have to declare that relatively early on. We do not have a biology or a pre-med department. So close we get, you work with the chemistry department, and they'll teach you how to get ready. They'll teach you organic chemistry, biochemistry, as close as we can get, and they'll help you get ready to take the MCAT in your junior year and then apply to med school. You do have to apply and get in on your own. We typically have between 7 to 12 med corps officers every year. It's difficult, but it can be done. So if we have any younger members of our audience here, if you're 9th, 8th grade right now, I'm going to go over this really quick. Just know up front that this year, due to the effect of COVID-19, all of our summer programs have been canceled. But we'll break them down here just in case we've got younger people looking to apply next year. This is the STEM, the summer STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. It's a 6-day program taught in several sessions throughout June. It's taught by real professors and midshipmen in our lab facilities. It's a really great program if you're just wanting to at least, you can visit the academy and get sort of experience in STEM communities. The other one, this is summer seminar. This is only for rising seniors, as in you would apply for this in your junior year. It's similar, 6 days long, taught throughout June. The difference is, this is a little more military focused, and it's designed to help show you or help you answer the question, is midshipman life for me? Again, this has been unfortunately canceled for this year, but if you are a freshman or sophomore right now, you will still be able to apply for this in the future. So our basic eligibility is not different than any other service academy. You have to be at least 17 and less than 23 by July 1st of your year of entry. You have to be a U.S. citizen by the time you enter. If you're not a citizen yet, that's fine. You just have to be by the time you're actually inducted. You can't be married, you can't be pregnant, and you can't have any obligation to support children and good moral character. So this is a screenshot of the Naval Academy Admissions website, usna.edu/admissions. You go up to that top bar, you click apply, and you can apply, start your application right now, and you'll be put in touch if you have any questions with an admissions counselor like me. We're going to take you a minute to break down how the application works. It is fairly long. That is, the length of the application is part of the application. A lot of people don't finish. That may have been competitive if they had just finished their application. So a lot of things that you would expect, and a lot of things the other service academies have already gone over. You do have to provide a personal statement. It'll be the same prompt. Why do you want to go to the Naval Academy, and describe an event, a significant event in your life that influenced your character. You have to do the candidate fitness assessment. We'll get into that a little more detail in a minute. You work with your school counselor to submit your activities record, your academic information, a recommendation from a math and English teacher, and your official transcript. Now, unfortunately, currently, we cannot accept any form of electronic transcript. It does have to be a hard copy mailed to the academy. Now, the candidate fitness assessment consists of those 6 events you see up there. If you are wondering how to prepare for that, there are guides on the Academy Admissions website about how to get ready for the CFA. It can be administered by any of those people there on the right. Just know that if you take it and you don't think you did that well, you can retake it as many times as you want. We will only take the best score. We see a lot of applications that could have been really competitive, kind of hampered by a poor or even a failing CFA score. But don't worry, if you're not doing that well, we will ask you to take it again, but you're always welcome to keep trying. The other piece is your medical qualification. It's the same place that does it for every other service academy: Department of Defense Medical Exam and Review Board. How this works is once you are halfway complete with your application, you'll be automatically generated information from D-N.M with instructions on how to schedule your appointment. That's not to say that it's the same requirements for every academy, it's just that the same institution does it for all the academies. Last piece has already kind of been covered here. but I'll go over briefly. You do need a nomination. You're usually eligible to not be nominated from at least 4 of those sources that you see up there. Now, the interesting thing about the domicile requirement, let's say we have some people who have gone off to college. They're applying not out of high school, they're applying out of college. They're from New Mexico, but they currently live in Texas. You can choose either one of those states to apply for your nomination. You can choose either where you currently reside or your home of record, but once you pick one, you have to stick with that one and verify that through admissions or your nomination staff. So this is generally what the candidate cycle looks like. It starts roughly in the spring semester of your junior year. And it would in other years have summer seminar in there. Unfortunately, that's going away this year. We expect it to be back next year. Just know, even if the application opens on April 1st, even if you were done with it on April 2nd, our admissions board does not start meeting until September, so there's no way you can get told you're coming to the academy until then at the absolute earliest. The application, the final deadline is January 31st. Everything has to be in by then. We will let you know the results of your application by the April 15th, and then you have to let us know by the National College Decision Day, May 1st. So to break it down, your preliminary application makes you an official candidate. You put all your pieces together, you go to the admissions board, get your physical call, your medical call, and get your nomination. Then you're eligible to compete for your format. That is the only way to get it. Now, if you go on sites like collegeboard.com, you may notice the academy has an accept rate of somewhere like 8 or 9%. It seems really, really intimidating to see such a low number. But I want to break down a little bit what that number really means. That number consists of anyone who has gone onto the Naval Academy's website and clicked apply. That hovers between 15 to 17,000 people a year. How many of those people actually finish? It's usually closer to around 3,000. And of those, we pick about 1,100 to come direct to the academy, another 200 to 300 to go to one of our prep programs. So your actual odds of getting accepted, if you actually finish your application, are closer to 45, 50%. On the topic of our prep programs, we have 2. One is the Naval Academy Preparatory School in Newport, Rhode Island, accepts between 230, 250 students, sailors, and Marines. What NAPS is for generally is, let's say you're otherwise an excellent candidate, great fitness, you're captain of the football team, you've got student body president, got a ton of leadership experience, but we saw you kind of struggled in math or chemistry. We're going to make you an offer to the prep school, and what that's going to do is help get you physically and academically ready to do well at the Naval Academy. And NAPS works very well. They tend to not have a ton of academic problems coming out of there because they've got the good habits and good study skills that they built there. The other prep program is our Naval Academy Foundation program. It consists of 16 civilian and military prep schools we're affiliated with across the nation. That's a little bit smaller, only about 40 to 50 students get accepted into that. An example of why you might get offered foundation is, let's say you waited too long to apply for a nomination and you missed the nomination deadline, but you're otherwise a great candidate. We'll tell you, hey, sorry you didn't get a nomination. We'd also like to offer you acceptance into the foundation program. Now, bear in mind, it is not a separate application. You do not need to apply to the prep school. We make that decision in admissions. Just apply direct to the Naval Academy, and if we decide you're better fit for NAPS, we'll offer you that. So general advice to make yourself competitive in admissions to the academy: strong foundation, both math and science. All those classes you see there, chemistry and physics with the lab if possible. Bear in mind, again, we do not have a biology department. If you have to pick, between doing AP chemistry your senior year or bio, we recommend you pick chemistry because, again, we do not teach bio. There is no minimum GPA. Just strive to be in the top 20% of your class. Gonna take that third bullet, take your SAT early and often. Take it when you can. There is no minimum. Just bear in mind that you're competing against all the other people who want to go. AP honors and IB courses are always encouraged, and we like to talk about our holistic approach. We want a whole person, not just a superstar athlete, not just student body president, not just academically gifted. We want everything. And if you need anything else, these are the top 5 reasons to go Navy. It is a full scholarship. You don't pay to go here. And once you are done here, you get a guaranteed job, a fantastic job. It's a wonderful location. Didn't really go too much into that, but what surrounds the academy is downtown Annapolis, the capital of Maryland. You can walk out the gates and be in one of the biggest tourist destinations on the East Coast. Number 4, leadership character development. I firmly believe this is the finest institution for that because the character development never ever stops. And in case you're intimidated by anything you've seen, just know that it's about an 89 to 90% graduation rate. If you are willing to put in the effort and at least try and make use of the resources available to you, it's very likely you will graduate. So that's about wrapping it up for now. Feel free to follow us on any social media of your choice, or visit us at usna.edu/admissions to apply, or go to navysports.com if you're interested in being a recruited athlete. So I'm going to stop the presentation there, and we're going to go take some questions from chat. Okay, let's see. Question, could you ask a 9th or 10th grade English teacher? No, you need 11th or 12th grade, or if you're already in college, your current math and English teacher, or 12th grade. Well, Scott, is there a way to take a virtual tour? We're actually working on a virtual tour right now. Keep an eye out for that. It's not quite ready yet. When will we know if we get to be an official candidate? You will be contacted by email with your candidate number. Please make use of that candidate number, as it's a lot more easy to keep track of by that number than by your last name. Oh, God knows how many Joneses we have that apply every year. It helps if you include that in any communication you have with admissions. Question from Darian. Because summer seminar and other summer programs are canceled, there may be overnight stays and other opportunities. We do have another exposure program just to help people get out and experience the academy. It's called Candidate Visit Weekend. That runs in several sessions throughout the fall and the spring. We don't have current information for the fall yet, but definitely keep an eye out for that. How that works is you fly out to the academy, you meet a current freshman at the academy, and you get to spend a couple days with them, going to class with them, just experiencing what their life is like. So yes, there will be other opportunities to visit the academy. Question from Benjamin. Did I understand that music programs would substitute for athletic classes? No, I think might be getting a couple things confused. Athletic classes, there are mandatory athletic classes every year, as you know, boxing, wrestling your plebe year, and then swimming, you have a couple swimming classes. Once you're a senior, you get to take PE electives. So those will still be mandatory. However, if you are involved in one of the music programs, like the Pipe and Drum Corps, like the Drum and Bugle Corps, that may get you an athletic exemption, meaning that afternoon sports period where you would normally be playing your intramural, you'll be going to practice instead. Oh, the chat's going too fast here. Is there an age limit to complete a preliminary application? We kind of went over that with the basic eligibility. You just have to be older than 17 and less than 23 by the time you enter. Are there any marksman programs at the Naval Academy? Yes, you will qualify on rifle and pistol during plebe summer. Let's see. Since we're in lockdown, less leadership opportunities, what are some good alternatives to gain more leadership experience? There's no simple answer for that. The easiest answer I can give is try and get involved with whatever you can. There's always a way to put it somewhere on your application, even if there's nothing in the drop-down box. We can always work with you and take into account everything you've done. Got a question. If we were accepted into summer seminar, we already completed a preliminary application. Will we receive the package, or do we need to complete the application again? I may have to get back to you on that one because it was canceled. To my knowledge, if you have been accepted into summer seminar, your preliminary application is done. But please send me a follow-up email on that. My email is dan@usna.edu.
Hi, Lieutenant Dan. I just wanted to confirm that if you did fill out an application for summer seminar, you do not have to fill out another preliminary application. You'll be hearing from us at the very end, probably of May, as to your candidate status.
Let's see. Oh, did we fly ourselves to Annapolis for in-processing, or does the academy take care of that? The answer is kind of. Once you get accepted and you get to permit to report packet, you'll be able to be reimbursed for the flight that you get, is the short answer. Looks like that's about all the questions we're getting. I will stick around for as long as we have anyone who's got something they want to know. Oh, if you can't make varsity school sports, do recreational, I assume sports outside of school look good for candidates? Absolutely, any kind of athletic participation. Can a program like SLCDA help out applying for the academy? Ms. Louise, do you know what that is? I'm not sure what that abbreviation is. You're muted.
No, I'm not. I don't know what that is. Oh, Summer Leadership Character Development Academy.
Oh, Summer Leader Character Development Academy. I have not heard of that, but you can certainly list it. I imagine it can only help you. Does ROTC scholarship cover all the expenses and stipend like an academy? I'm not sure. I can't answer a ton of questions about ROTC. Maybe Miss Louise, do you know anything about ROTC?
Yes. I was actually an ROTC graduate, and that was my commissioning source. They do give you a stipend. They will cover books, but not everything is included like it is in an academy. And at a service academy, you can literally show up with the clothes on your back and you'll be issued everything.
If you already passed the CFA and physical, I assume that's the medical physical, do you need to retake them if you're reapplying to academy next year? I would always recommend you try and do better on the CFA. However, your medical qualification is good for 2 years. So you don't have to do that part again.
At the United States Naval Academy, you can take the CFA as many times as you'd like to max
Oh yeah,
out.
say it again.
As many times as you can. And we post our max scores, the max scores on the website. So you might want to take a look at that. Great point, Ms. Harrison, about the scholarship, the ROTC scholarships not covering room and board.
Oh, how can someone get onto a varsity sport? Do you get scouted or do you have to try out? Yes. The answer is it depends on the sport. Some varsity sports will take walk-on tryouts, some do not.
The interesting thing at the Naval Academy, 1/3 of the student body, they're playing varsity sports. So that means there are actually a lot of walk-ons. So at a small school like the Naval Academy, you do have the opportunity to play in a varsity sport in college.
How is BUDS different from underwater egress training? So BUDS is the primary SEAL training or the first part of the SEAL training program, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL School. That's down in Coronado, California. Underwater egress training is something that's taken by a ton of different service members, especially pilots. If you want to know generally what the underwater egress training is, just go to YouTube and type in Helo Dunker. That's it. It'll show you exactly what it is. It's pretty fun. Does Naval Academy have NCAA baseball D1? Yes, we do. What does life look like after the academy? Great question. Depends on what your service assignment is. If you want to contact me offline, dan@usna.edu, I'd be happy to tell you what life looked like for me after the academy, but bear in mind that may not be everyone's experience.
So Sequoia just asked a pretty interesting question about submitting different CFA scores or candidate fitness assessment scores. Does it replace it, or does it just keep adding to it? Lieutenant Dan?
We will keep all of the scores, but we will take your best score. I didn't see it in the slideshow, but is Jiu-Jitsu included as in any club or just judo and karate? As far as I know, there actually is a Jiu-Jitsu. I don't think it's a club. I think it's an ECA. It's not an actual club sport. At least there was when I was there. Hopefully it is still there. Someone interested in intelligence services. So the short answer is yes. Naval Intelligence is one of the restricted line communities you can commission into after graduation. If we pulled a hamstring or any other injury during high school, will that lower our chances of getting into the academies? The hard answer is maybe. If you are not able to physically complete the requirements, it may delay your entry. We'll work with you as much as we can, and you'll be working with, I'm sure, your own medical docs on getting you up and healthy. But if you're not able to physically do what is required, you will not be accepted. Oh, someone added on the intel question, going Marine Corps, you can actually select several different intelligence communities out of the basic school. That's the first training you go to after graduation. When doing the CFA, do you have to do all events at the same time, or can you do them separately? No, that's very important for when practicing for the CFA. You have to do them all one after the other. It makes it surprisingly difficult. And that is the way we recommend that you practice it, is exactly like the test is administered. Great question so far. Are there any waivers or exceptions with height? So I don't think there's any height limit to be admitted to the academy. However, I will say when you're going towards specific communities, specifically aviation, you do what's called your anthropomorphic measurements, and they take a bunch of different measures of you, your sitting height, your knee length, your leg length, basically everything you can think of. And the point of that is to make sure that you can safely occupy one of the aircraft and, or importantly, safely use an ejection seat. I don't know those offhand, and it's very, very specific. But and sometimes it's bizarre. A person of otherwise average height and average weight can sometimes be disqualified from aviation just because of, their knees are too long. It sounds weird, but that's just sort of one of the harsh realities.
So someone asked about what order should we practice the candidate fitness assessment in? And you actually practice it, it's within 40 minutes. You do those 6 events, and those 6 events in order are the basketball throw, the pull-ups, shuttle run, crunches, and then push-ups, and then a 1-mile run.
We kind of answered that one. So when submitting multiple CFA scores, does the best overall score replace your old results, or can one event replace a past event? You kind of answered your own question. Your best score takes precedence. If I'm enlisted Army, could I apply to the Academy? The short answer is yes. However, applying from enlisted is a bit more complicated. It's a little bit harder, and they may be looking for different things since your chain of command has to sign off on your application. If I'm attending New Mexico Military Institute in the fall and I've already received a nomination from my home state of New Jersey, do I reapply for a nomination from my New Jersey senators and congressmen or New Mexico? So from what I understand, you're junior now, you're about to be senior, you're applying, you've already got the nomination. I would stick with the nomination that you have, but
You have to reapply. I'm sorry.
am I misunderstanding this here?
No, going in the fall, receive a nomination, reapply. So if you're going there for prep and you're not sponsored, and even if you are sponsored, you're going to have to reapply because you're going there for a year in between. So yes, you'll have to reapply for a nomination.
Oh, okay. Apologies, I misunderstood that question.
Yeah. And just to recap, how many nominations is everyone available to apply for right off the bat, eligible to apply for? Cam or Lieutenant Dan?
Almost everyone gets at least 4. That's vice president, 2 senators, and your congressman.
Awesome.
Oh, we got a couple people been paying attention.
Well, Ms. Harrison is on it, so we appreciate that. So I think we're ready. I think it's slowing down a little bit.
Actually, I would like to cover something we didn't go over in the presentation as sort of an extra nomination source. If you are in a school that has a JROTC unit, you may be able to get a nomination through your ROTC unit. If it is an honor unit, they can give you a nomination to any academy. Unfortunately, if they're not an honor unit, it can only be for that specific branch. But that's just another nomination source that you can get.
So thank you.
If we wear glasses, will that lower our chances or does it depend? Short answer is no. I used to wear glasses, and that was a great benefit of being at the academy is I had laser surgery and now I see better than 20/20.
And Mr. David Swingle, our area coordinator for the state of New Mexico, made a great point. There are a lot of nomination sources out there, and just like Lieutenant Dan had touched upon during his brief, just make sure you go to the Service Academy's website. The Naval Academy has a very extensive webpage that will tell you all the different kind of nominations that you might be eligible for.
All right, it does look like it's slowing down a bit. I think. Oh, big part about honor units and our JROTC. So NROTC, let's see, NJROTC, if you're in a Navy JROTC unit, they can provide, I think, 2 nominations per unit. If they are an honor unit, they can nominate to any academy. If they're not, it's just to the Naval Academy. But let's say you wanted to go to West Point. If you are in an honor JROTC unit, even a Navy JROTC can nominate you to West Point.
Clear as mud, right?
What's the best thing you can do as a freshman to help you get in? Stay focused. Stay focused, get involved, and honestly, one thing, just a personal perspective, that I wish I had started way earlier was start working out, start getting into fitness, because I found myself coming to the academy a little bit behind my peers.
Okay. Should we call it, Cam?
I think everyone's got their questions answered, but if you think of something later, our contact info will be put out. Or if not, if you don't remember, you didn't get the slide, just go to usna.edu/admissions. You'll be able to ask any question you want. You'll be put in contact with probably me, because I am the admissions counselor for all of New Mexico. So I look forward to hearing any other questions people think of later.
Well, thank you for all the engagement tonight. We're coming to the end of our time together here. I think we answered as much as we possibly could over that chat. Don't forget about the webinar tomorrow night. We have a webinar tomorrow night with the Coast Guard Academy and the Merchant Marine Academy. So always keep your options open. Two things about them. You don't need a nomination to go to the Coast Guard Academy. It's in Connecticut, just outside New York City. And the Merchant Marine Academy on Long Island, just outside of New York City, is a little known gem of a unique school. And you're going to want to hear what they have to offer. And that's tomorrow night, same time, same place. So even though you may think that you want to be a Marine or a naval aviator or be in the Army, educating yourself on all these options is extremely important. There are many avenues to attend college and to become a military officer in any branch of the service. Just check them all out. Do yourself that favor. Thank you for joining us today, and best wishes in pursuing all of your college options.
Have a good night.